and all, welcome to Prison Architect. Now we've got to episode 7 and we're starting anew. Fresh start needed. And really I think what I was doing here, and this is already sped up footage that you're going to see me also speed up on the time. So you're getting 4 times footage. So basically half an hour will pass in 10 minutes. Which is nice. In this game, I think there's a new version of the game out as well. So let's just talk about that very quickly. There is a new version 11, which is infinitely more stable. A lot of people have asked me, is this game worth getting? And I've kind of said yes, but hold off just for the moment. Let it just develop a little bit more. I would say this is the jump-in point. I would say this game's worth getting right now. I played this for 5.5 hours last night. And I loved it. It was absolutely incredible. Everything seems to be quite sustainable now as well. So everything just seems to work. Although there's one bug, it's the laundry, but I fix it. And you'll see in a later video how I do it. So yes, I'm going to keep you in suspense. Anyway, let's look at the, again, let's look at the beginning almost, because you have to build your prison, obviously, and that's obviously, well, again, given really. But one of the things you have to do is obviously take grants to afford the money to do that. Now, as you can see, I just accepted them all, and as pretty much, I'm also going to stop prison, sort of people coming in. But my idea here was pretty simple. I wanted to have maybe just one big building. I like outdoor bits, but I think it's easier just to have, effectively big buildings. And as you can see, I'm building 2 wings, top and bottom, then an entry hall between them, and that's going to house my visitation piece, and it's also going to hold the holding cell, so with cell blocks top and bottom. So this is pretty much what I always seem to get wrong in the game was just the original basics of having enough cells. I never seem to get that right. So here we go. Now this is me trying to figure out. Now I didn't do it terribly correctly. As you can see, I've left quite a big gap between them. So that actually turned into quite a blessing, and I turned that into a common room, and you'll see me do that in just a moment. One of the key things is to have prisoners kind of entertained. So I didn't build the buildings with too much forethought. So at the end I'm going to put solitary cells. So again, I'm probably doing this all wrong, but you can kind of see what I'm trying to do is just build a general cell block where in the middle bit is, and that's how British prisons are, in that central bit outside the cells is usually where you have your chairs, your TVs, your tables, your pool tables, stuff like that. And I thought, well, let's mimic that. But again, here really just building as much as I can in terms of walls and structure, etc, etc. So and again, I kind of, with that central piece as well, that was kind of wrong. I think you need to have a clear walkway. Prisoners can be the most kind of sensible prisoner who is willing to do their time, blah-de-blue. But the moment you give them a bit of horizon, a bit of clear horizon with no wall or fence, the buggers will run for it, and even the most kind of well-behaved prisoner will leg it if they feel they can. So this is why, again, I'm just going to try and make it so that it's not easy to get out. There's only one entrance, one exit, just simple as that. And I'm going to make it as easy as I can not to make them escape. Then over here on the left, that's where we're going to build our kitchen, our canteen, and other things. As you'll see, we start to develop. And then I'm obviously putting my yard in there. And then here, this went rather well. I'm going to actually build my infirmary and many other things. So here we go. So basically, I think if there's one maybe criticism I have of the game is it probably does need a ×4 zoom. I think you've got a ×2 zoom, which is obviously, see the top right, you've got your kind of double arrow. That's double time, I guess. Whereas with the video, with the magic of editing, I've actually made it so it's 4 times, so it's going a lot quicker, as you can see. And I just think maybe the game needs that additional level of pushing forwardness. So here we go, starting to build our cells. Now this is where I realised I've kind of bolted up. I haven't even put any power in yet, and I'm already putting doors in, which is kind of stupid. So that little bit there on the right they're building is a generator house. So I'm going to put my water and power in there. And again, in theory, this sounds such a boring game, but I tell you what, it's compelling as hell. So I really would recommend people give it a go. So here we go, just basically finishing off the central corridor here. So we're going to have our holding cell on the left and then visitation on the right. Not ideal, but again, a lot of this is just to get them in. I do a lot of moving around once I've got you know, a bit more money, a bit more stability. So that central bit there that I'm building there is for the shower. Now again, I've kind of learned that your kitchen, your canteen and your shower, as long as you've got enough heads in there, be careful, not those sort of heads, but you can generally put in, you can generally get away with one, okay? And same with the canteen, as long as you've got enough kind of, you know, tables and you know, the right amount of serving hatches, you can generally get away with a lot. So here we go, just plugging in and plumbing. Here we go. So this is again thrilling. This is, they should do a mod to this game, which is where you build houses or something and sell them, because I think with most of the fucking hipsters out there at the moment, they'd probably do that sort of game. Sell houses, build and sell houses, make money, you hipster bastards. So here we go, basically just trying to plumb and wire everything. Thank God you can speed this up, because this took forever. I think I went and got a cup of tea halfway through this as well. Anyway, so we start to and then allocate our rooms. So there goes our shower. Let's get our maybe our canteen going. Actually, I haven't built the walls yet. Let's see. So again, one of the things I probably did here that I'm glad I did was I did start getting bureaucracy as quick as I could, and you'll see me build the offices in just a moment. But here we go. So now that top bit is going to be our kitchen, that middle bit is going to be our canteen, and I was a bit worried the canteen may not be big enough, but it serves me pretty well for the next 5.5 hours. In fact, in that entire time, kind of a spoiler here, there was no, well, there's only 1 or 2 incidents, let's say, which sounds boring, but not when you actually see the progression of it all, because I think one of the key things of this game is really understanding how you can make it a flawless prison, a really good, you know, suitable prison, and hopefully you'll see that as we go through this video, because again, a lot of it is just, oh, there we go, switch the power on, lovely. So here we go. So basically now what we need to do is start thinking about cells. So we need to start thinking about obviously security, so starting to put our doors in. One of the godsends I did build was metal detectors. We'll cover that a bit later on. And also I think one of the key things there, as I've just done, is putting down paving stones, making prisoners move quicker, because certainly when you've got only a regime, and again, regime, we'll look at the whole thing seriously, but I think the regime is also something that you need to tweak with, because what I find is after a while you actually unlock all of the prerequisites to make your prisoners work for you, and once they start working for you, as in with the real American prison system, you basically become a massive source of income. So you'll see that in some of the later videos where we basically start to make our prisoners earn. So just a little tip here, you can see here I'm just kind of filling in each of the cells. I didn't need to do that, I could have selected the whole thing and that would have probably worked. Again, just I've stopped prisoners coming in at the moment just because I want to make sure we don't have any issues. Here we go, putting our grates in. Rule of thumb is just to try and put as many shower heads over grates as you can, and what I did learn later on is that if you put the grates at the entrance of the doors, then water will never leave the shower as well. I learned the hard way from that. So here we go, let's start to zone our kitchen. So this is our canteen, and then our kitchen. Now again, the way that the game kind of works is you do need to isolate everything. What I mean by that is obviously you need to generally, you know, section stuff with doors. When you come to deployment later, and again, this series of videos from this point forward will show you all of this, so don't worry about it, because from the comments from the YouTube channel, I think just generally I've kind of picked up how to do a lot of stuff in this game, so stick with it and you'll see. Also, if you see me doing anything stupid, which is highly likely you probably are, let me know. So, you know, I mean, with the canteen, for example, I didn't really know how to best position it, so I guess I built it a bit stupid really, but anyway, that in theory gives me what, I mean, 16, 32, I mean, sort of 48 positions there, so that in theory should be quite a suitable canteen for many months. Also with the showers as well, just having so many nozzles, surely that makes it quite good. Now, not sure why there's a tree in there, that's an interesting one. Trying to build the offices here, you generally need, I think, maybe 5 offices, maybe 5 or 6 offices, but to begin with, the warden is probably the key one, with the accountant and then all the other ones. So some of the people that you can get in terms of the resources, let's say, I actually have no idea what purpose they serve. So, you know, the warden's kind of obvious. And I think the psychologist is kind of obvious, but I don't really understand what the accountant does. I know they say give access to grants, but I've already got all the grants I'm going to get, so I don't really understand what the point of them is. In fact, I'd say there's a few resources like the foreman. Don't really understand what that dude does either. So anyway, we'll look at this. So I think in terms of where we are at the moment, we're pretty much getting ready to accept prisoners, I would say. You know, 14 cells, that's not too bad. I think I just need, you know, I get another bonus when I hit 15, so that's probably good. And here we go, we're going to sell the remaining cells, hopefully, but it's looking pretty good. I think this is, yeah, again, I missed the balls at the power there, but I think in terms of where it's looking, I've kind of built this as a grower, and I'd probably recommend everybody does do this, because, you know, if you keep it too short, if you keep it too small, and you know, and you kind of make it a bit kind of compact, you're going to have issues when you start to expand. So I think, you know, you're better off making it a bit more robust. So we go, putting our common rooms in. So this was again just a really, you know, a balls up I did previously was just not putting enough things to entertain our hardened criminals. So TVs, pool tables, weights, and phones. So that's apparently all prisoners do, is they watch TV on the phone while playing pool and lifting weights. That's apparently it. No books. I mean, do books, I don't know, post in the comments if you know bookshelves and stuff kind of entertain prisoners. Maybe we'll look into that, but currently I don't really see kind of what they do, so we'll examine that. So we go, starting to sack some of our staff, and let's get some wardens in, let's get some cooks in. Now again, once you get to the point where you can deploy and you can make your prisoners work for you, you can actually make them cook for themselves. But there we go. So we've now basically just started to get our prisoners on the road in, and we've also now started to do some of the unlocks in bureaucracy. I would not underestimate those unlocks. They are really good. So just final bits and bobs, and that's probably where we'll cut for the episode 1.7. Now, join us in 1.8, where we'll basically go through certainly some more of the setup, but this is where the prisoners come in and we start to get them basically entertained, locked up, and behaving themselves. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.